2018 Triple M Bendigo Cup this Friday night at Bendigo's Lords Raceway, and making the journey down to the Melbourne studios, Club Manager of Bendigo, Troy Harley. Hello.
Thanks, James. Nice to make the trip down.
Well, very good. Very exciting this week leading up to the Bendigo Cup. Before we delve into this year's Cup, let's take a look back at some of the winners in years gone by. There's been some out-and-out superstars, and Fernando Bale, I think, top of the list.
Yeah, Fernando Bale definitely top of the list. If you go back to the late 80s and early 90s, the likes of Brumby Lad and Tivoli Man, Puzzle Prize as well, a country cup specialist, and obviously Fernando Bale, but also dogs like Galo as well, and Paul Licking and Aston Bolero, some pretty high quality speed machines, all won plenty of good races.
And most of those greyhounds you've just suggested, they were all very good beginners. Do you think that's a bit of a key in the Bendigo Cup?
I think it certainly is, although you look at a dog like Henry Walt, came from behind, and obviously Landmark last year, but the 425 is a different race to what the old 430 was, and certainly a better quality race since we moved to winter, and there's probably seven genuine chances tomorrow night.
Well, it looks a cracking field, there's no doubt about that. So let's delve straight into this box draw now and dissect the 2018 Triple M Bendigo Cup. Start with greyhound number 1, Peter Galo, drawn the inside. 2 is Vanderworp, 3 Aston Duke, 4 is Orson Allen, 5 Bernardo, 6 Black Forge, 7 Big Flood, 8 Striker Light, the superstar. The reserves Rock Up Top and Milky Jones. Now, before we go these in racebook order, let's just have a quick chat about the reserves, because last year it was a reserve who got up.
Certainly was, and the Punters Club were pretty happy, and a few other followers were as well once the box draw came out. Obviously Landmark drew ideally inside with the way the race was going to be run, but certainly don't discard reserves, in particular this year. I mean, Rock Up Top did win the Hobart 1000 last December, the oldest Group 1 race on the calendar, and certainly both reserves have plenty of ability if they get a run.
Exactly right, and last year it was Landmark trained by Rob Britton, and Rock Up Top's a reserve for Rob Britton this year, so maybe just keep that in mind if he gets a jump. We'll start with greyhound number 1, Peter Gallo. I thought everything went right for him in the heat, and I thought it was just a run.
Yeah, I think his last couple of runs have been just a runs, without being disrespectful to a high quality dog. He's the third fastest dog ever to go around Bendigo, so you certainly can't discard him. But I thought he got all the breaks last week, and probably had enough on the line. So I'm not sure that Peter Gallo's at his best for the Cup, but I wouldn't discard him.
One that I am keen on is number 2, Vanderworp. I just thought the way he went about his business last week, first up at Bendigo, switched over heels of Zoom Out coming off the back. I think that probably cost him a couple of lengths as well, yet he found the line, 23.82. I think there's going to be real improvement for Vanderworp.
Most certainly. I think he does probably want to get off the track, but to be able to pick up Zoom Out as a high quality greyhound after it did cut him off and still pick him up was a very good effort. And I think the first West Australian representative in the Bendigo Cup was going to be right in the firing line.
Yeah, well, we've got West Australians, New South Wales sprinter that's going to be race on. Number 3, Aston Duke. I thought it was a really good win, strong win, but I'm just not sure where he's going to get to.
Yeah, I think he's awkwardly placed outside a couple of wide runners and inside a couple of railers as well. I think he's probably going to be sort of struggling a little bit.
Yeah, and number 4, Orson Allen. How about this for a run as we wind up the replay? Let's take a look at Orson Allen. Jumping from a wide draw, the field sense is what got me about this youngster. Looks to have so much ability. Obviously box 4 is going to be a challenge, Troy, but the way that he just ducked and weaved, dropped onto the rail and then just shot through, and look, he ran time as well, 23.69 or thereabouts. It was a very impressive win.
We've got to remember on debut he did break the second split record for a maiden at the Meadows, running 17.63, so he is capable of showing more pace, but whether or not in a race like this I don't know, but whatever he does on Friday night certainly is a greyhound of the future, and he's got black type races in him at some stage in the next 12 months.
I agree, and speaking of a greyhound who's going to have a bright next 12 months, Bernardo, drawn box 5. It's a tough draw, but by gee, he's got a big motor.
He certainly has, and so's Bill McMahon's car, the amount of Ks he does every week to race. It'd be great to see Bill top off a big race, because he did run second the Harrison, Dawson, Bernardo, and between him and Orson Allen, they're 2 grounds to really take out this race for the next 12 months.
I reckon that the kennel from Will McMahon, they'll be able to hear him cheering from about 600 Ks away, because he gets right into it when they're coming around the home corner. I was lucky enough to watch behind the boxes when Bernardo had the lead and got ran down in the Harrison Dawson, and it was pretty exciting stuff. Greyhound number 6, Black Forge. I really want to touch on this greyhound based on the fact I don't think he really handled the Bendigo track first up. He sort of just looked like he almost balked a little bit going into the first corner, and look, I think he's got improvement. His first 2 sections were pretty good.
Very good. He's a near record holder at Maitland. He won the Maitland Cup, which of course Black Magic Opal did as well before failing in a Bendigo Cup, but he's got high speed, and he looked like, you said, he probably wasn't ready for that bend to come up so early, having been racing at tracks with a bit longer run to the first turn, but he's certainly going to make his presence felt, and another interstate raider that's right in the Bendigo Cup. Cup.
It's good to see too. We've got 2 from interstate and 6 Victorians. Big Flood, one of the Victorians, drawn out in box 7, one of 2 for the Thompson kennel. Thought he was really on the top of his game last week. He was fresh, he bounced out, he's won 23 out of 36. It was first up for 4 months. He was engaged at Warragul last week, but that meeting was abandoned. But I think it worked well for him. He was fresh and just ready to fire.
Yeah, once the box was open and he left the mat, that was all over for Big Flood. He only ran a tenth slower than what his best at Bendigo is, so he's right on the mark, and no doubt he'll improve, and that 5-day turnaround will just top him right off.
And right down the bottom, let's not forget about the golden girl that she's become. Striker Light, drawing box number 8. Well, where do we start with her? It was first up from a little break. She was just fabulous to win again. I think she'll be clearly better for the run. She's now 10th on the list of high earners, top prize money earners here. She had to work hard, and she probably got pushed early by Fully Loaded, which she's probably not used to, and the way she just ground away, found the line, that's what's made her so good, the fact that she just wants to win. Yeah,
that will to win certainly been the key to her winning nearly 700,000 in prize, but now making her 17th group race, and I just think that group quality came out in the last 50 metres. The other greyhounds are certainly quality greyhounds, and a few of them probably performed above their expectations, even their trainers' expectations, but her class prevailed. That first up for a month, no doubt that run will tune her right up, no question.
Well, let's get straight into selections now for the Bendigo Cup. We'll start with you, Troy. Who are you tipping as a top 4 in this year's Bendigo Cup? And punters, let's not forget, he was keen on Landmark at about 50 to 1 last year. Over to you.
Yeah, no, 50 to 1 shot this time. I like Striker Light. I just think that she's boxed okay. She'll benefit from that run, and class could prevail. She'll follow Big Flood across, who was my second pick. I've got Vanderworp for my third pick, and just had he drawn outside 4 or 5 or 6, I probably would have had him a little bit further up the market, and for 4th, Black Forward. So going 8, 7, 2 and 6.
Okay, I'm jotting them down because you are a very good guru when it comes to tipping at Bendigo. So 8, 7, 2, 6 punters. My selection's pretty similar. I'm going the same 4, just reverse pretty much there. 2, 6, 7, 8 for mine. I'm going with 2, Vanderworp. I think he's full of confidence. His WA form's outstanding. He raced well in the, I think it was Maturity Series here in Victoria about this time last year. So he's a greyhound. I think he's got plenty of upside. He's drawn well. There's not a great deal of speed around. So I'm going with the 2, Vanderworp to win the Bendigo Cup. For second, I've gone with 6, Black Forge. I just think he could be the improver going into this race. For third, 7, Big Flood. If he jumps like he did in the heat, I think he's a huge player. And I just couldn't leave out Striker Light. It's been a limited preparation, but she's an out-and-out superstar, and I think she's going to run well. So I've gone 2, 6, 7, 8 in the Bendigo Cup. And we'll roll along now to the $20 spend. Now, I'm going to leave this one alone for the Bendigo Cup and leave it all up to you, Troy. How would you tell our punters to spend $20?
I'm pretty confident that those 4 that we've come up with are going to be the first 4. So I'd be taking a little $20 flexi trifecta and boxing 2, 6, 7 and 8. I think
I like that.
Whichever one of those gets the breaks will win the race, but I think they'll finish in the first 4. So 2, 6, 7, 8 flexi box. Flexi
box. 2 pretty smart greyhound punters here, I think. So that's the way to go, hey. 2, 6, 7, 8 boxed on Friday night in the Bendigo Cup. It's going to be a massive night. I'm hosting the Punters Club. It's just going to be people everywhere. Why should the punters get to Bendigo this Friday?
Cold beer, plenty of punting activity and quality racing. Certainly 3 good reasons.
You've got me there. Make sure you tune in. Bendigo Friday night. Get there to Lord's Raceway for the 2018 Triple M Bendigo Cup.